Well, good morning, everybody. Should be live on 3 platforms right now if I did it right. I'm going to be doing a new show on Wednesdays and Fridays at 9 a.m. where I focus on one practical motivational career tool that you can use to advance your career. Today is the first episode of that. And today I'm going to be talking about tracking your professional accomplishments. I'm going to give you a few examples of ways that you can do this that can fit into your lifestyle as well. And if you have some thoughts about how you do this in your own life and your own career, you can add those in the comments. So I'll get started with this, and then I'm going to be coming back on Wednesdays and Fridays. So if you have ideas, whether you're watching this live or you catch the replay or you catch it on YouTube, you can let me know if there are specific areas of career motivational tips, resume writing, interviews, any of that stuff, career planning that you would like me to cover. You can leave those in the comments and I will keep note of it. So today we're talking about tracking your professional accomplishments. First of all, I run into a lot of times when I'm working with folks on resumes, LinkedIn profiles, personal branding, when I ask them about accomplishments, they say, well, I don't have any accomplishments. And I think that there are a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I think that we are often taught or conditioned to be very humble and to avoid bragging about the things that we do, which is a good thing. If you've ever known someone that likes to brag a lot, we know that we don't typically love to be around those people. And so there's a good reason for that, but it makes sense to talk about your professional accomplishments. And I think oftentimes people are just very uncomfortable talking about themselves and thinking about their accomplishments. The second reason why I run into a lot of I don't have any professional accomplishments is because people tend to think that a professional accomplishment has to be something that you got an award for, that you got recognized for on a some sort of a official capacity. And that's not true either. A professional accomplishment is really anything that you do that has helped somebody to, or your organization helped your team, helped your coworkers, helped your organization, helped a client to make things easier or less expensive, or to help people feel better about the work that they're doing. Oftentimes, when I ask people about professional accomplishments, I'll ask questions like, did you ever design a strategy that made doing this process easier? Did you ever have a situation where someone was having a really hard time, maybe a client or a customer, or someone you were working with was having a really hard time, and you were able to come in and resolve that situation and help that person to either stay with the company or get their job done in a more effective fashion? These are the kind of questions that I ask. One of the things that I said here in the description is it doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home mom or a CEO, you have professional accomplishments. I work with a lot of people who have been out of the official workforce for years because they were at home caregiving, whether it was taking care of kids or elderly parents or someone else in their life. And they may have worked part-time. They may have had a business that they ran part-time. And they'll say, well, I don't have any professional accomplishments, but we'll start digging deeper and we'll look into things like volunteer work. We'll look into the work that they did on a part-time basis. We'll look into some of the maybe clubs that they were involved in. And oftentimes when you start asking questions about those things, you realize that, hey, you do have professional accomplishments. This is one of the reasons why when I work with people to write resumes and LinkedIn profiles and other personal branding, I just got an email a couple days ago from someone who said this was a huge confidence booster. And the reason for that is because that person never really took the time out of their busy day to realize that they had accomplishments every single day. They were doing things that were helping other people. And really, that's what professional accomplishments are. So, you do have them. No matter what your situation, you have some professional accomplishments. And even, if you're a student, you have professional accomplishments that you uh, achieved throughout the course of being a student. And that doesn't always equate to grades either. Sometimes I've worked with people who their professional accomplishments that they have achieved as a student has been that they were the person in the group that helped everybody work together. And we were able to talk about that and document it in some way. So that brings me to my next point, which is that, yes, you do have professional accomplishments, and it's very important to keep track of those. Why is it very important to keep track of those? Because so many people don't. And then when it comes time to represent them, whether it's on a resume or a LinkedIn profile or anything else, a bio, in an interview, when you're doing a 30-second elevator pitch and an introduction to who you are, when you're hoping to be elected as a officer in a club that you're in, when you're hoping to achieve some sort of a civic appointment. These are all situations in which talking about your professional accomplishments is important because they become your qualifications. And if you are going to help other people, you have to be able to talk about your qualifications. And again, qualifications don't mean necessarily degrees or even years of experience. They can be personality traits or things that you're talents and things that you're good at, or experiences that seem a little out of the box. But you need to be able to communicate them. And so if you track them throughout your life, communicating them becomes much easier. Also, if you track your professional accomplishments on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, you will start to feel that confidence boost that so many of my clients say that they feel when I work with them on a resume. That will become a part of your daily life instead of just something that you feel when you have to sit down and work on a resume, a LinkedIn profile, a bio, a speech, whatever it is. For those of you that have businesses, this is one of the things that is oftentimes hardest for my clients that have businesses that are putting together some kind of personal branding, whether it be a resume for a nonprofit or for a nonprofit or for nonprofit board membership, for an award, all kinds of things that I've worked with people who have businesses to put together resumes for, or whether it's a bio or whatever it is. This is one of the hardest things for people that have businesses because they probably haven't been writing resumes. And there are a lot of people who have jobs that haven't been writing resumes either because you've just gotten your jobs through networking. But for people that have businesses, this is harder for them often because they're not practiced at necessarily tracking their accomplishments. And sometimes that's also because they don't have to do that as a function of their employment. So oftentimes employees have to track their accomplishments in some way as a function of their employment because they have to show that they did these things. And people that have businesses, you don't necessarily have to do that because you can decide if you're doing it or not. And so this is one of those things that's very important for you as well, perhaps even more important, because oftentimes if you are an employee, we can go back and look through paperwork and find something. And sometimes when you have a business, it's a lot harder to do. So Brandon has a comment here. He says, Brandon, thanks for watching. He says he just reviewed or relooked at his bio for podcast pitching project. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are things that no matter what you do, no matter your industry, whatever it is, you're going to have to talk about your accomplishments. And so it's so much easier if you're tracking them on a regular basis. So how do you do that? Well, there are some really easy ways. I'm going to share some things that I do. I'm going to share some things that I advise clients to do. You guys let me know if you have other ways of doing this. One of the easiest ways is to simply email yourself on a regular basis. Put a calendar item in your calendar, or if you have reminders, whatever it is that you use to remind yourself to do something. And every week at a specific time, send yourself an email with that week's accomplishments, or do it on a daily basis. This way, title the subject the same thing every time: career accomplishments, something like that. That way, you do a quick search in your email for career accomplishments, and there you have it. You have all of those accomplishments for the last year, for the last month, whatever it is. Now, I can tell you I've had the same Gmail address. I've had a personal and I've had a business. I've had the business one for about 13 years. I've had the personal one even longer than that. And I can tell you I've never had an issue where I've lost my email, I've lost access to my email. I can still go back and find emails from years and years and years ago. But it is a good best practice if you are relying on your email or another cloud-based storage platform to store this stuff, to also download it and keep track of it. Another way that you have more control over on a regular basis. Whether or not you choose to do that, that's your choice, but it's just something that I feel like I need to say. However, sending yourself an email, really easy way to do it. If you're doing it daily, weekly, monthly, put yourself a calendar item in, say accomplishments, then you sit down and you give yourself a half an hour, 45 minutes, or an hour, and write down your accomplishments for that week, month, day, whatever, and send them to yourself. That's going to help you to feel really good after that time. And then it's also going to make it a lot easier for you to find those things when you need them for a podcast pitching project, a resume, a speech, because you are arguing for a promotion, whatever it is. Another option is sending yourself text messages. I am a big fan of sending myself text messages. I know we have a lot of people I have a lot of people in my network who are very, very busy, and they also happen to be busy moms, many of whom are working at home with kids. Some of them who are doing that because of the pandemic, some of them who will continue to do that after the pandemic. And sometimes you literally have 30 seconds in your day. And if you can get your brain trained to, when you're waiting in the drive-through line, or when you're waiting at the bank, or when you're waiting at the grocery store, that instead of going to Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever you go to scroll, instead of looking at memes or the news or wherever your brain is trained to go, you send yourself a text message with that day's accomplishments. Some of that is just muscle memory. How many of us have muscle memory that opens Facebook right away, or opens Instagram right away, or opens the news, or whatever we look at for the funnies? Some of that is just muscle memory. So send yourself a text message. And then again, we do sometimes lose access to our text messages. I have had that happen a little bit more than email. I've had that happen very infrequently though, but there's an easy way. You can screenshot it and upload it to Dropbox. There's lots of different ways that you can make sure that you hold that stuff and keep that stuff. But the biggest thing is just giving yourself that time that I am going to send to myself, and I'm going to think about my accomplishments now, and I'm going to send it to myself. And when you think about your accomplishments, remember that this is anything that you felt good about, anything that you think you did well, even if you don't think an employer or your audience or anyone else is going to care about it, it doesn't matter. Write it down, because sometimes they do care about it. And sometimes we can just find a way to phrase it that makes it universally applicable. And sometimes you just want to look through that stuff for you. When you're feeling kind of low and sad, and maybe you're feeling like you had a hard time with something, you just want to look through these things for you. Those are the two ways that you can do it. Another way is to have a document where you're writing this stuff on a regular basis in a calendar item. You can also use a journal. That's something that I'm thinking of doing, is putting together a career accomplishment journal where people would have prompts about their accomplishments. It's something that I'd like to do one day. I haven't had the time yet, and it's not a priority, but it's something I think I'd like to do one day. So if somebody wants to steal that idea from me, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. And there are likely things like that out there. But those are a few of my ways. So, Brandon, if you have another way to share, I know you're watching right now. He says a journal is a great idea. And if you are an employer, think about how you can make this part of your employees' regular reflection time. When your employees reflect on their performance, when we reflect on anything, we're more likely to make intentional changes. I taught writing for a long time, and I taught reflection because reflection helped my writers to become better writers and my students to become better students. And reflection will help your employees to become better employees. And that will also serve them well as they advance in their careers. And you want to be doing that as an employer and a leader and a mentor. So, yeah, Brandon says that we look back at them, the accomplishments, even over a couple of years back. You might look back at them over a decade back. There are things that I did 10 years ago that pop up in my memory now. And I think, wow, because I did that 10 years ago, it meant that I'm better at this today. And sometimes making those connections is just good. That helps us to feel more potentially like our path has made sense, and it's kind of cool to think about, and it's kind of cool to talk to other people about. So yeah, and Brandon says every year we reflect on the prior year and see highs and lows and how we have improved. Absolutely. And that helps you to improve more. That helps you to identify maybe the things that you're doing well and feel good about them, and things that maybe you're not doing so well and improve them. So if you're an employer, think about how you're going to include reflection in your employees' daily lives. And if you're anybody, track your professional accomplishments. You have them. You absolutely have professional accomplishments, and you can track them, and that will make it easier for you to advance in your careers, no matter what they are, no matter what you want to do, no matter if you are a person that says, I want a career that is related to my passion. I want to start a business. I want to be a doctor. Or you're someone that just says, look, I want a good, solid, reliable job so that I can do things outside of my job that help me to feel good and help my community and my family. No matter where you're at with all of that, tracking your professional accomplishments is going to help you succeed. So I recommend that you do it. And now you have a couple of ways to do it. And I will be back on Friday with another quick hands-on career tip for how you can work on advancing your career, with another motivational career tip. If you want to talk about this more, if I've said something and you're thinking, you know what, I really can't think of any professional accomplishments, or I'd like to start doing this and I'm not sure where to start, you can go to morleycareersolutions.com and you can book a free consultation. I also do free resume reviews. They're 15-minute calls, but you will get a lot of information. So whether you want to talk about this issue or another career-related issue, or you want me to take a look at your resume, LinkedIn profile, other aspects of personal branding, you want to talk through an idea you have of something you'd like to start, you can do that. It's free regardless of whether or not I end up working with you. These are free for everybody. It's something that I enjoy doing and is helpful, I believe, to a lot of people, because that's the feedback that I've gotten. So you can go to morleycareersolutions.com and book that free call. You can also sign up for my free career tips. I send out approximately one email a week with free career tips. So you can sign up for those on my website. Something that we are going to be doing with Green Cow shortly is we are going to be having 2 workshops One of them is going to be about resume writing, and the other one is going to be basics of starting a business. So that's something that I'll give you more information about shortly. I didn't put anything in the description about it right now because I don't have all of the the descriptions exactly the way I want those yet. But if those workshops sound like something you would be interested in doing, you can always send me a message and I can give you more information. And of course, if anything that I talked about today resonated with you in any way, you can leave a comment or send me a message, and I'd be happy to talk about it more with you. All right. Well, this is supposed to be short, and I've already talked for 20 minutes, so I better get going. Thanks for watching today. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching on the replay, and I will see you on Friday. Bye, everybody.